Presented by Edge Radio.
Hello, and welcome to Media Shower with your hosts, Lochie and Qom. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day today, despite possibly some maybe bad weather, but that's just Tasmania for you. Anyway, what do you think we're gonna review today, Qom?
Well, the biggest movie maybe of the year, I think, is in cinemas at the moment, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Or Deadpool 3 for short.
Yeah, we've both seen it, went to a couple of different sessions.
I could have
well, I'm going to mix to it, I think.
I had the opportunity to go to a second session, but I missed out on it because I thought I needed some time to thoroughly think through it. But now that I look back through it, I'm like, okay, maybe I should have taken that opportunity while it was there. But, oh well.
Yeah, there kind of is a lot to this movie, I think. I was almost, when I walked out, I was just in silence for a while. What do I do with my life? I was kind of almost traumatized to an extent, trying to piece everything together.
Yeah, I felt...
There was a lot, but a little. It's kind of a weird movie.
Yeah, I felt it was more like the same with you in a way that I walked out of there not knowing more or less how to thoroughly think through on what my current thoughts were. Of course, there were some scenes that were going to overlap my critical-based thoughts, so it was going to take some time, admittedly, to get, well, all of it together, I suppose.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess some things I loved, some things I didn't like so much. We're almost, I walked out of the cinemas with my family and we kind of went and had a meal and we just didn't say anything about the movie. And then eventually someone said, "Oh, that was alright." And I was like, "Yeah, that was alright." It was, yeah, it was pretty good. Good, I think.
I took my dad to see it, and I'm just glad that he looked like he enjoyed it.
That's good.
Apparently, to me, his favourite part, it seemed like it was the beginning of the movie. Oh, and I should have said this beforehand, but I'm going to give off a complete and utter spoiler warning for this session. So, if you do not like that sort of stuff by any means necessary, then by all means switch to another program and come back to this one another time. Like, I can understand that completely. Like,
I would never tell anyone to switch to another program. But just sit in silence for till 11 o'clock and then turn Edge back on.
well, I'm not a guy who likes to provide spoilers, but we've agreed that we're gonna do this. So yeah, that's just my warning for you.
It's hard to talk about this movie.
You may
without
leave
the
if you
spoilers.
wish, but stick around if you want. That's totally up to you. Anyway,
So
the first one came out around 2016. It did really good, both critics, fans, and box office wise. Then the second one would have came out around, I think, 2018 or 2019.
Yep.
Critic scores, fans, and box office seemed relatively good.
I think it's pretty widely accepted. The first one was great. Second one I didn't really like too much, and it got a lot more of a lot more heavily critiqued. I think the second one. It was kind of a stock standard sequel.
Okay, that's interesting, which I can agree with you on some parts. It did feel like that, but I was trying to be more or less open-minded with that film,
The interesting,
knowing it was going to be like a sequel kind of movie.
yeah. The interesting thing about both of these movies is they were initially created by Fox, and Fox has since 21st Century Fox has since been bought out by Disney in 2019, and so this movie was really like a homage to all the Fox the newest movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, it really pays tribute to all these Fox superheroes. We go back and see the X-Men characters, Blade, Elektra. The whole movie's full of cameos of...
And even ones such as the Fantastic Four's Johnny Storm, played by Chris Evans.
Yeah,
which
that was a nice
personal
twist.
favourite of mine, but was rather a little personally upset when they killed him off.
That was a nice twist, I thought, though, because I thought we were going to have Captain America appear. And they work up to this big scene, and then he's not Captain America. He takes off his shirt and he's Johnny Storm, the Human Torch.
Yeah, I didn't mind that joke for the sake of people who may not remember that particular version of the character that well, but as soon as he appeared on screen, I immediately knew it was Johnny Storm. I'm like, oh my god, it's him!
This movie's, chock-blocked with cameos throughout.
Very chock-block full of old school Fox-style Marvel characters, particular, like you mentioned, Blade, who will basically now be considered, if not the very first good Marvel film at all.
Yeah.
And then you've got the X-Men movies, and finally the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies,
I thought it was...
and of course the future of Marvel movies. But I'm not.
Yeah.
We're not here for that. We're here for Deadpool.
They managed to... Some movies you see cameos and you think, oh, this is too much. It's very stupid. But this one actually ties into the story nicely. Where kind of...
Yeah,
Deadpool is almost the has-been, and they get sent to this alternative world where all the rejects are, if you will.
Yeah, or the characters we would have grew up with, essentially just thrown into a kind of a realm or a world known as the Void,
Yeah.
which is just an empty cesspool of nothing with, alongside maybe Giant Man's dead corpse and the logo of 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
So
maybe
there's
I'll
that for you.
I'll briefly try and explain the plot. It's a little weird.
Yeah, I will admit it is a weird one to explain, but when watching it, it doesn't feel weird because you're more. I think that's just more or less you're paying attention to Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds' relationship together.
Yeah. It's pretty much like a buddy cop movie between them. But Logan essentially dies, or Wolverine dies at the end of the Logan movie. And so Deadpool's universe, it's explained that certain universes have like a anchor person who holds it all together. And theirs was Wolverine, who's now dead. So now Deadpool's universe is slowly going to die off. And this authority, this alternative dimension authority, Mr. Paradox,
Group, if you will.
yeah, the TVA, and Mr. Paradox, he essentially wants to destroy their universe in a more efficient manner. He says, rather than waiting 1,000 years, let's just get
Instead
rid
of
of it.
letting it die of natural causes, why don't we just get rid of it now so we can
Let's prune
solve
it.
all our future-based problems and not have to deal with them?
Yeah.
But Deadpool is immediately against that idea and has now opened up to the idea of having almost friends-like, a family-like relationship, which is, I guess, his arc in the movie, if you will. But
Well-
I'm not sure.
This is really my biggest critique was Wolverine I thought had a good arc. Deadpool didn't. They tell us Deadpool has an arc. They say, Deadpool wants to be on a team. But the opening scene is Deadpool with his friends and family and the previous X-Men team who he's worked with. And so they tell us that he's going to change, but he really ends the movie at the same place he starts. what my eyes saw and what I heard was two different things. That makes sense. I thought Wolverine had a good arc, but
Yeah, I can't help but agree with you on that, on the whole point where it feels like Wade had the same thing going on from the beginning and the very end, feel like the same almost.
yeah.
As if like nothing happened. But I don't want to go on that route because I feel like there was, of course, something probably deeper beyond the surface than we might realize, but I might be thinking too far ahead of it.
I mean, they try and... I guess maybe his arc was more that he just doesn't think he's good enough. And he of course, has an early scene where he tries to join the Avengers. And Chappie kind of just says, dude, you're a loser. Get out of here. But to me, it was... I mean, he's already got a team. He's already got all these people who love him.
And accept him for who he is
Yeah.
at this point.
And he's trying to save them throughout, and he successfully saves them. And it goes, well, where did you change along the way? At the very start, you were trying to save these people. You did. Whatever, bro. I thought Wolverine had a really good arc. And Wolverine's arc is he never wanted to be a hero. And everyone who ever loved died.
Oh, we should probably explain how we got to that point before any of that happens. So, once Deadpool finds the literal corpse of his world's Wolverine, he then bashes the living hell of the TVA in a beautifully formed fashion, along with the song Bye Bye by NSYNC playing in the background, which my old man couldn't help but find that was a funny scene.
Essentially desecrates Wolverine's corpse.
Yep, and tells the audience, oh, you think that's horrible? Well, sorry. We're doing it anyway. And then he realizes that he will need to go into other universes to find the right Wolverine for him. Or at least one that will attempt to save his universe. So, of course, he will go through, excuse me, multiple different universes to try and find his right one, which leads to a montage of, like, certain different versions of Wolverine, whether it be a 5'3" version, one that is played by the one and only Henry Cavill, which a lot of people can't help but agree that he looked really good. And I don't blame him.
I think, yeah, it was funny seeing that, and I think these references, a lot of them are from the comics.
Yeah, a lot.
Like, even the short Wolverine is from the comics. I think they have Eye Patch Wolverine and Wolverine on a cross.
Yep, that most of that is all from the comics, from what I understand. I don't have a large knowledge of the X-Men, unfortunately. But, yeah, Deadpool eventually finds one universe where Logan's just sitting at a bar, costume hiding under his raggedy old clothes. Deadpool, of course, gives him a speech. Then of course they have their little fights and all that. And it only takes a while for Logan to realize, I guess, in a way, that it needs to be, the situation is bigger at hand than he might realize.
Yeah, and
then he goes through his arc. Oh, sorry.
Deadpool essentially tells him, "Oh, come with me, and the TVA, the Dimension Authority that we mentioned before, will be able to bring all your friends back who have previously died and save your universe as well." And so yeah, really that's Wolverine's arc throughout is he was too cool to be a hero, too cool for the X-Men school. He was out getting drunk when all his friends were murdered, and so now he's kind of tormented by that, and says, "Man, I should have just become a hero like they all asked me to." Instead, I was doing whatever. Riding around Harleys instead of saving the day. And so he regrets all that. Now he wears the super suit. And yeah, now his arc is trying to save them.
Which, now that you put that perspective into my head, I think that actually, excuse me, that it helps this movie's equivalent of Wolverine sense the fact, of course, that, well, decreasing the other one's corpse right up just to bash the TVA is like, well, I don't know how most Wolverine fans are going to take that, especially if they took that, the last movie that he was in before Deadpool 3, it was considered in an impactful death scene from what I've heard.
Yeah, Logan's like the greatest superhero movie ever made. You know what? Everyone just go watch Logan. Don't worry about Deadpool and Wolverine. Logan's a much better. If you want to see Wolverine go through this arc where he regrets not being a hero and all that sort of stuff, just go watch Logan. It's way cooler. It's set in Japan. There's some cool mechs and stuff. Way better. But saying that, this was still a good movie. Just nothing compares to Logan. And I thought it was done in a funny way to, like, they kind of almost needed to say, oh, we're desecrating Logan's corpse, which he does say as he does it. And it's like, yeah, okay. You know that we can't top the emotional impact of this previous movie. So let's just make a big joke about it, which is fine.
Which, when I first saw it, I wasn't sure how most people were going to take it.
Well, yeah. It's kind of hard, but it's one of those things. They're self-aware when doing it, so I think it gives a bit of leeway to it all. But essentially, the next step in the movie, may sound all confusing because it is Deadpool and Wolverine then go back to the TVA, the Time Variance Authority. I think that's what TVA stands for. And they say, listen, this Wolverine sucks. He ain't going to be an anchor for Deadpool's universe. And Mr. Paradox just sends them both to the Void, which is a space in between universes where all the rejects go. And they essentially go there to die.
Where the quote-unquote nobodies go, but to some particular millions of people around the world, they hold a very special place in their hearts.
Yeah. And so they're now in this void, and they have to get back. And so they have to fight or make an agreement with Cassandra Nova, which is Professor X's twin sister. And they have to get her to send them back to the original Deadpool universe.
Which I've never, I'll say it again, I have no proper knowledge of the X-Men as characters, movies, or the comics. So I wasn't aware of who this individual was. But I thought the concept of her powers were actually kind of really cool, and
yeah, I thought that were awesome.
Really wanted to explore where it, how it works and all that. Like, it just, and I guess it was more or less just the way it was able to be handled with CGI and yet not look awkward. Like, I think.
Yeah, she's
like, it made it look uncomfortable, but not like, ew, the CGI is bad uncomfortable. Like, ooh, this is spine-tingly creepy.
So she has Professor X's powers, but she can manipulate physical matter a bit more. So she sticks her hand directly in people's heads for their eyes.
Yeah, and like her fingers will go through your eyes, your nose, and your mouth, and it's like, ooh.
It looked good.
Especially when her finger marks are like going through the brain. I was just like,
Yeah, one of the end scenes is she sticks her head in the one of the TVA's guys, and she's just dragging him around. And I thought, oh, that is a cool looking scene. This guy's just ragdolling as this little girl is dragging him around by the brain. It's yeah, a bit daunting. It made you feel
Powerless almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
There was
even
weight
with
given to it.
Yeah, even despite with Deadpool and Wolverine's incredible powers, it honestly felt like they were up against something that was much bigger.
Yeah.
Even if in the long run, I guess, it may not be it, but I couldn't help but feel it, which was something I have not seen or, again, felt in a while when it comes to most Marvel projects, but that's just me.
Yeah, really since Avengers Endgame, I don't think that's been a great movie. This is the peak of this phase.
I'd say so far, and probably the only one that's mostly going to get the most amount of traction, without a doubt.
Yeah. Maybe the Spider-Man movies as well, actually.
The new set of free,
Yeah.
if you will.
But I was trying to think, like the Marvels I watched, I didn't really like that much. The Doctor Strange 2, Something of Madness.
I think it was Multiverse of Madness or something.
I mean, these are okay movies, but they're not great. And they're not really impactful. You just don't care about them. It's they peaked at Avengers Endgame, and this new phase has been pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's...
The Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumania.
Yeah, it feels like some of these recent Marvel films are trying to reenact the same magic from Infinity War and both Endgame. And, well, it worked only then because it felt so impactful and worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, they took the 10 years of characters, maybe even longer, working up to it. Then they hit this huge peak, and then now they're trying to ride that for as long as possible. But
Almost as if it's like a cheap shot.
yeah, just trying to cash in on what's left. Which I don't really blame them. I mean, some people watch everything Marvel and they want more and more. But we're just never going to be back there. Or not for a long time, I don't think.
It does seem like it,
yeah.
unfortunately.
And the other one with this new phase, which they really screwed up, is the guy who plays Kang. Is it John Majors, I think might be his name? The guy...
Yeah, he had to be replaced.
Yeah. So they built all this...
Like, they built a character for one movie, and then
He was meant to be the new Thanos.
and then something bad happens in real life. I don't know exactly what it was, but
I think he was charged with, like, domestic abuse.
okay. And because of that, he was immediately scrapped by Marvel right out of the gate.
Yeah. So
And then
I mean, obviously you can't have him as the new Thanos.
no, you can't.
It's not a good look, but it does
Not a
kind
good
of
look.
suck that they were working these movies up towards that. And then, bam, this guy kind of ruins the Marvel universe. What can you do? The
Again,
true villain, that's the true super villain.
Who is the real villain
Yeah.
of the MCU?
The guy that ruins it. He broke the fourth wall. Got charged with some horrendous crimes and then ruined the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He did more than Thanos ever did.
How did Deadpool not figure that one
That's
out?
right. That's something else that I thought with these movies. With the Deadpool movie. Is there some funny jokes that they could have... It's meant to be a very edgy comedy movie. He should have talked about Blade being done for tax fraud. Or not paying taxes, which is happening in real life. He could have talked about TJ Miller, who was his good friend in the first movie.
Ooh, I don't think that one in particular would have probably gone well.
TJ Miller also accused of some horrendous Me Too stuff, but TJ Miller also called in a bomb threat on a train,
What?
which is pretty crazy for a celebrity to do.
Oh, I was not aware of this one.
They could have made a funny joke about that.
That's huge.
They could have made a joke about
I'm almost.
Kang.
I'm now glad that they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it's meant to be a fourth wall breaking movie. They could have made a joke about Bryan Singer because they celebrate the X-Men movies. And Bryan Singer is accused of some of the most horrendous things imaginable. Say some things with little boys. And really the whole X-Men franchise was directed by this guy. And
So
we're
not
kind of
some
paying
very
a...
safe, not some very safe for work material.
Yeah. And this movie is paying homage or tribute to all these movies. And it's like, yeah, make some jokes about that. You know what I mean? You want to say you're breaking the fourth wall? You want to see real edgy Deadpool? You want to see real edgy? Make a joke about Bryan Singer and how the whole X-Men movie's funded.
Oh well, apparently they can't do that because it's Disney, and apparently no edgy for Deadpool in Disney.
Yeah. So, I'm being picky. I'm being kind of mean-spirited.
On the surface, we might be sounding like mean-spirited individuals, but we're trying to look as thoroughly as possible.
Yeah, I just think that would have been funny if they made some of these jokes about how this Fox superhero franchise is built on blood. That would be really funny.
There was something here let's see. There was something here in your critiques here, on your notes that I see here. It says that the true hero needs to take a shotgun to the idea of a multiverse.
Yeah.
So, could you maybe explain that a little more?
Well, so Logan, I said, was such a great movie. And it was such a great ending to Wolverine. We don't need Wolverine back. I liked it superficially, but really it kind of ruined the previous story that we saw. The issue with the multiverse is it takes all the weight out of every choice made. I think you've seen is Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to play Doctor Doom.
The biggest news of the year, what most should assume, including myself, but
People
don't know.
cried. People cried when Robert Downey Jr. died in the Avengers movie. It
And
was
now-
like 20 years worth of having, being a cultural phenomenon. And now it's like, oh, we're just going to bring him back from another universe. Come on, bro.
yeah,
Where's the impact?
as soon as I heard the news, I really couldn't help but feel like it was some type of cheap shot to bring back old Marvel Cinematic Universe fans to come back and just at least have a snippet of their current stuff. And to me, it just sounds way beyond desperate at this point.
Yeah. I thought really all this multiverse stuff, I kind of liked it for like the tiniest snippet. I enjoyed Loki, that show, 2 seasons.
I
It was
mean,
good, but that actually investigates what the multiverse is. It kind of explains the rules of the multiverse.
and despite the Spider-Man No Way Home and Across the Spider-Verse movies even have some flaws, I still enjoyed those movies.
Yeah. I liked it for like a brief snippet, and now I just go,
And now
none
it's
of this matters.
And because it's being like almost like crapped out of everything, it honestly feels more predictable. So rather than anything like new worthy to take in.
Yeah.
Like, it almost is to be expected in almost any kind of superhero-based media.
Yeah. What I love about heroes is that they will never change so far as they stay profitable. There will never be an end to Superman. There will never be an end to Batman. There will never be an end to Iron Man.
And there'll never be an end for my boy Spider-Man, that's for sure.
Yeah. They will. All they do is they just change iterations to the point that they are most profitable and they make the most money. And to me, that is like the saddest. We used to have these heroes in Roman and Greek mythology, you know, Hercules, Cronus, Zeus. And now our heroes today, the stories don't matter. What matters is they can still make the maximum amount of money. And it brings a tear to my eye that,
Yeah, I think you're starting to bring one to mine.
yeah, that this is what
don't
we're
do this to me, bro.
left with. And really, the multiverse is the concentrated form of that. And that it is that they're openly saying, we're not even going to kill someone off, wait 20 years and hope you forget about the hero and bring out a new movie. We're not going to make a new iteration of it whatsoever. We're just going to go to another alternative universe and just pluck one out. Everything you saw doesn't really matter because there's there's infinite numbers of
Like just-
Iron Man out there.
Like just a toy from a crane game.
Yeah. It's so tasteless. There's no art to it. There's no inspiration to it. And the worst part is, there's a lot of guys out there making new original comics, cartoons, making new characters, new stories. And we will never give money to them. Because why would we? Why would we give money and risk it on a gamble of a new hero when we can just watch the 30th version of Iron Man or the 40th version of Batman? And it really is like, maybe this is too early in the morning for people. Go have a second coffee. But this is why the multiverse must get a shotgun, blast it into it. And this is why, in my notes you asked, it says the true hero must take a shotgun to this idea. And this is what this Deadpool movie should have done. And they kind of, at the end, he literally says, well, doesn't this multiverse stuff kind of suck? We're at like the worst part of the MCU. And I'm like, yep, it does suck. And you just made another movie
And
about
you made
the
another
multiverse.
movie, like, basically freeloading of getting away with it. It's like, you mentioning it while still doing it doesn't mean you're taking action, it seems.
Yeah, this is what they should have. Deadpool. This is actually a way better movie. This is off the top of my head. Deadpool should have been reading letters from fans who say, yo, this multiverse stuff sucks, bro. And he should have made it his hell
You know what? I totally agree with you.
to go to every multiverse and execute every Avenger character, just destroy it all. Burn
So
it all down.
So if you're a big Marvel fan, there's a comic called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. So just picture that, but like 100 times on a grand scale, and probably, no doubt, forward into a montage.
That sounds
Into
beautiful.
a 5-minute montage.
Yeah. Kill it off. We're done here. That's what they need. If they want to bring this franchise back from people actually caring, they need to have one movie where they destroy every universe but one. There's only one timeline left. That's it.
That being, again, if you're a Marvel fan, like the 616 universe, or
Yeah.
maybe an ultimate one, but I don't know, just maybe keep the one and
'Cause-
just stick with it.
Because even this movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, I went into it essentially saying, I'm here to watch it because for the comedy and violence, I know the story's not going to be great. But also just because there hadn't been a big movie out in a while.
Yeah,
Especially
on that
superhero
scale.
movie. Yeah. I can't remember the last big superhero movie that came out. Oh, Into the Spider-Verse, the last Spider-Verse movie that came out last year, I think.
Yeah, and no doubt it'll be the next one as well
Yeah.
when
But
that movie
I
comes out.
yeah, I essentially went into this just saying, they just hadn't made a big superhero movie, so I'm going to go watch this one. And I think if this came out in 2020, if this came out a year or two after the last Deadpool, no one would care. And the story's not brilliant. Violence was amazing. And the comedy was good. But, yeah. The story to me was just, whatever, bro. Bro, whatever. I don't know. Maybe you feel a little different about this. Maybe I'm being a bit cynical.
Well, I don't know. When I was first watching the movie, there were a couple things that I feared to predict, which, of course, being this is a Disney Marvel film, they came to light. Some of the things like you mentioned about Deadpool may not be as edgy enough because of the fact of the Disney restrictions. But
some of the jokes I did really like, but I thought some just went a little too long or they repeated. So the good example I think is the ugly dog pool.
yeah,
And when it first happened, I thought that's funny. There's this ugly version of Deadpool, which is an ugly dog. And then we just get the same joke like 4 times through the movie. Get it, guys? There's a dog that's a version of Deadpool that's hideous. Wow.
Wow. Be shocked, guys.
So yeah, that joke, I don't.
It
come
broke
on, bro.
new ground.
Yeah. I'm just lost with this movie. The jokes just repeated so often. Like there was another joke about the golden gun. Or
then all the multiple Deadpools came up in near the end.
Yeah, and
that was another one of my biggest fears, which is of course them only showing up in the finale, and that's it. Lady pool, kid pool, baby pool, head pool, cowboy pool, many Deadpools you can possibly think of in any format imaginable is there. But it's only feels like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. But it doesn't feel warranted, though. It doesn't feel warranted.
It was...
I mean, yeah, there were some bits that were funny, dialogue-wise, but I don't know, it just didn't have the oomph to it. You know what I mean? And one particular variant I was very excited to see adapted on the big screen was Headpool, because of the fact that he's from the Marvel Zombies universe. So, except for maybe that one scene in Spider-Man Far From Home, this could be the official first adapted of Marvel Zombies on the big screen. Or the closest we could get of it.
Yeah, interesting. I actually liked that scene in the but I think you're right, it wasn't quite warranted. There needed to be, why are all these Deadpools fighting main Deadpool? Why were they there? They just appeared. Said, listen, Deadpool, we gotta kill you.
Why would you kill one of your own?
Yeah.
If anything, you should probably be working together.
Yeah, it was just unusual. And I think a lot of this movie kind of felt like that. Even
unless if Mr. Paradox offered all the Deadpools as a very specific deal, then maybe I could find it. But since I guess there was no explanation, and it just again feels unwarranted. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Here's another question: why did Mr. Paradox get Pyro and the X-Men to try and kill Cassandra Nova? That felt odd as well.
I think it was because Mr. Paradox is aware of how much of an unpredictability that Cassandra Nova is. So he specifically placed her in the void first, but all this stuff managed to come into the void, so she made it her personal playground
Okay.
over the years, I suppose.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. That makes sense.
Well,
But it
I
just
think
felt
that's
like,
the most.
because she'd been there forever, so it was like, why now? But I guess
And she's like,
he
only
is going
pissed off-
after her now because she's the only way for Deadpool and Wolverine to come back.
Yeah, oh my.
Okay. Yeah. There was some, yeah, I don't know. Interesting. That guy was a interesting character, Mr. Paradox.
I was a little bummed.
Is Tom from Succession, if anyone has seen that. It's like a business show.
I didn't notice. I forgot to mention this earlier, but I did notice that there was the likes of old school Juggernaut from the. I can't remember which X-Men movie it was,
Number
but
3, I think.
he was a very more or less human-esque build instead of like the big actual bulking steroid raging machine that is the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Like it just looked like too much of a regular human. He looked like Shao Kahn with his armor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I kind of thought that as soon as I saw him as well. I said, that ain't Juggernaut. That's some guy who stole Juggernaut's helmet.
And then you've got the likes of Nightcrawler as well, which I don't think he even has a line from memory.
Yeah. Oh, that's a weird one. They have Gambit in there. Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Which I never thought I would have needed.
No, and the joke is you can't understand
And what he's
because
saying.
how terrible his accent is. Which I thought, oh, that's funny the first time he did it, and then we get like, I was like, oh my gosh, are we gonna have the whole movie with an accent I can't decipher? Yeah, man. My name Jeff. Yeah, it was
Type
literally
thing.
worse than. Maybe that's why they did it. I guess it was a terrible accent.
Yeah, now that does sound pretty reasonable, to be honest.
Yeah.
They wanted to bring back an old meme that spiraled out of control and try to bring a new little sprinkle to it. Oh,
Yeah, I can't remember what he says. He's like, "I will be remembered" or something like that.
I will be remembered.
Yeah, it's something just whatever.
I like to throw cards.
Yeah, so that was the fighting was cool. I thought Gambit fighting and Blade fighting and Electro, they were all cool. That final,
Yeah, that final
Action
fight
scene
scene
in the
with the
void.
Fox heroes and Channing Tatum's Gambit was really cool choreographed wise. Oh, and I forgot to mention the likes of X-23, who is the next, or I guess if you will, the next gen Wolverine.
yeah, essentially Wolverine's daughter or some little girl he looks after, in Logan.
And basically has the same powers, but only two adamantium claws on each side instead of 3,
Yeah,
which does look a bit odd while watching the film, but in like, I feel like in long term, I feel like it would like benefit her maybe, but I haven't seen Logan, so I don't know what her purpose in that role of that movie was.
yeah, she's essentially just the kid in strife, and Logan has to save her, type thing. Almost a damsel in distress, but
It's a kid.
yeah. The other fight scene I really enjoyed was them fighting in the minivan.
Yeah, a lot of people really thought that scene was creative.
That was brilliant. Because yeah, you do kind of expect these grand fighting scenes, and they have a couple of them which are like huge.
I liked how this one more leaned towards the silliness of it
Yeah.
instead of the more serious factor of it.
Yeah, yeah. Why not take this huge budget movie and let's just have
Even
one
the-
of the best fighting scenes in a tiny little minivan compartment. It was very amusing, I thought.
Even
and
though
it looked good.
even though the characters think that it's a serious moment, we the audience don't.
Yeah. But yeah, they have some good fights between Deadpool and Wolverine. I think there's about 3 of them, and it's nice to kind of, it's almost an infamous thing we always think about, like Wolverine versus Hulk, or there's been these movies and comics. There's been these comics before, so it's nice to kind of see this on the film. Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I think I've been a little harsh, but I did genuinely enjoy the violence. I thought the comedy was pretty good. Some of it did land a little flat. The Wolverine story I thought was good, a section of it, but I found that Deadpool was almost a sidekick. He was the guy there to make lots of jokes. Kind of break the fourth wall. But really, his story, I said, I don't care. And it's not really... They made me not care because it wasn't.
I felt like more...
He felt like a standard hero. He felt like he could have been Thor. He could have been anyone. His actual story.
I felt like more of the focus of the film was just trying to establish their relationship, despite them not having... like an official one besides that one time in like X-Men Origins Wolverine, but most people tend to scratch that one off their minds completely.
Yeah. You know what? That movie had X-Men Wolverine, Wolverine Origins, had more of a plot than this. How about that?
Ooh, hot take.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I might have to watch it and see what you mean by that.
That movie gets so much trash thrown at it. But I'm calling it. I'm going to say, if you look at the story elements, Wolverine Origins actually had more of a story than this did.
All right.
It's a hot take right there.
A hot take, eh?
Yeah.
Spicy.
That's right. This movie was funnier. This movie had better violence. It was a higher production.
But Deadpool looks like ass.
Yeah. Yeah. In Origins, what people didn't like is that they butchered. Like people go in and they say, "Oh, I've seen the comic with Gambit, and I want to see Gambit in this movie," and they make Gambit Will.I.am in a cowboy hat. And that's why people hated Origins, is because it really spat on
Legacy characters.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually a good story if they didn't
ruin the characters. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But of course, I don't care about legacy characters. I hate to tell everyone.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right. I care about a good plot.
You care about plot instead of characters.
Yeah. Like, show me the good plot. I did think, I mean, this is the opposite, this movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. If you hadn't seen any Marvel stuff or knew anything about timelines or any of that, would you be, like, you must be so confused. I imagine this...
I can speak from experience because my dad watched the movie and he was looked like he was confused out of his mind. The poor bugger. He looked when he was looking through the multiversal stuff and the multiple Deadpools. He was just like, "What the hell is going on?"
So here's a good example. They say, "Oh, Cassandra Nova, that's Professor X's sister. That's her backstory." But if you've never seen an X-Men movie, you must go,
"Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
What are they talking about? What's a Professor X?" Or they even have this...
the X-Men.
Yeah, or even when they go to the Void and there's this giant cloud monster called Annalith or something like that. And they go, "Oh, Annalith from Loki, Season 1, Episode 5. And I'm like, come on, bro.
Okay, now
From Season 1, Episode 5.
Now that was the part that really confused me. Because now here's why, right? In the second 20th Century Fox Fantastic Four called Rise of the Silver Surfer, Galactus, believe it or not, is
Oh,
a
yeah.
character. Is an established character in the movie. But the thing is, he's not like a physical form like he is in the comics. He is more or less just like a ginormous cloud of a black hole that will inevitably suck up and eat planets like he does in the comics, essentially. But he's just like a big cloud in a black hole.
And you know what? In
And
Doctor
that,
Strange, they have a giant cloud monster as well that eats planets.
and then I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, is
The
this the
original.
same thing?
Yeah.
I'm like the whole time, is this the same thing? Is this the same creature?
It's if you've seen Loki, which
Which I obviously didn't.
yeah, and I kind of thought that even with the TVAs, I thought, would people even understand this? Because they run over it so quick that there's this TVA, the authority who links all the timelines up and regulates them, essentially. I thought, man, if you hadn't watched Loki, it might be a bit confusing. And the other one is, I had seen Loki, and so therefore it was boring to me, some of these parts. Because I said, I already understand the timelines, and I already understand that there's some giant cloud monster in the void. Just whatever. Come up with something new, please. I've seen this. So yeah, mix.
Cloud monster go gulp.
Yeah. What can you do? Like I said, I don't know. I just think they probably could have come up with a better script. Have Deadpool literally destroyed the multiverse to save us all. That would have been funny.
Just do Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, but instead Deadpool kills the multiverse.
Yeah. Yeah, have Deadpool team up with other Deadpools and they go on like a rampage. And his new...
And then Wolverine goes for his arc, and then he sees all these... Then he has to work with all these multiple Deadpools, and then he's like, this is my own hell.
Yeah, see, that's good writing.
This is my hell.
Here's the other... And this, I think, might be an issue, but I don't know. When they popped up the writing credits at the start, there was like 8 writers for this movie.
Oh, I did not know that.
How can you have 8 writers for a movie?
Jesus.
Bro, how about one writer? Imagine that, if a movie had one writer.
1 or 2 is understandable,
Yeah.
but 8, that's...
Have one guy write the story, and then have one guy add jokes afterwards. Wouldn't that be amazing?
So by that logic, they probably would have had to have each person look through all those individual things at once.
Yeah. To me, it was like, oh. When I saw that, I was like nervous. Oh, 8 writers. Something went wrong here. These people are just getting paid well.
Big time.
Yeah. If I wrote a terrible Marvel movie, I would just say, Lochie came up with this joke. He can have a writing credit.
Even though I may not like the idea of me being credited to a bad joke, I'll still probably get paid at the end of the day.
That's exactly right. They're laundering money over there. Disney, I'm reporting you.
We report, unfortunately, that Disney is now laundering money.
That's exactly right. We better wrap up anyway, I think. You're listening to Media Shower on Edge Radio 99.3 FM. Did you want to have any last comments, Lochie, before we break? What do you think overall?
Well, my final thoughts are there were some good, there were some parts that I feared that came to light. But overall, it was a very... I don't know how to say it, really. Even after going through with this thoroughly today, I still don't know how to give an actual opinion on it. Like, there's so much to talk about that I can't help but feel like I can't give a thorough answer.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it happens, and this movie just so happens to be it for me.
There's a lot to this movie, absolutely. Traveling to different places, everything. So I think I agree. I really liked some of it, and some of it not so much. But with that, everyone have a great day.
We'll see you next time.